Trump closing out his CPAC for the first time as president of this term. These are some of his most zealous supporters, as we know. What messages did he send out with that speech, and what stood out to you?
I think in terms of the substantive policy, the idea that they were pretty close to a deal in relation to Ukraine is probably the important news takeaway. Now, it wasn't 1000% clear whether he was referring to this deal that has been proposed to give the United States mineral rights in Ukraine, or whether he meant an actual agreement to end the war. But certainly the idea that they're on the cusp of some agreement there is important. Honestly, I think his use of profanity against former President Biden will probably make some headlines in certain places. That is indicative of the kind of approach that he takes sometimes and the crude language that he sometimes uses. Praising Elon Musk was notable. So I think those three things were perhaps the most notable from today's speech.
Yeah, Ukraine and Russia has been a major headline over the past week or so, but so has Elon Musk. One thing that we've been showing is a lot of these pictures of him wielding a chainsaw, metaphorically slashing government spending, as he says, saying, quote, "This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy." Meanwhile, thousands of federal employees are being laid off. We have a tweet from earlier today that he sent out in which he said, consistent with President Trump's instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Now, this rings a bell almost as if it was like when he first took over Twitter and he was asking people, what did you get done what did you get done this week? What did you get done today? So what's your take on how his messaging is, sending to these federal employees and how it relates to cutting federal spending?
I agree that it does echo the kind of messages he sent in his early days as Twitter became X. The difference, not to just state the obvious, is he doesn't own the federal government. And I would imagine that his powers to do the kind of thing he's proposing in that tweet would face pretty immediate court challenge. Now, obviously, there's no doubt at all that he's trying to make very, very sweeping cuts to the federal government. I think that some people certainly do agree the government is too large. But look at the potential backlash that we're already seeing, Alex. There was a town hall meeting that a Republican congressman in Georgia held late last week when the congressman in question, Rich McCormick, got a very hard time from his constituents about laying people off from the CDC, the headquarters being a short distance from his district. So this is a more politically complicated picture than I think Elon Musk is acknowledging.
Now, what's your read on any potential divides that could be happening within the Republican Party, Republican voters, and other loyalists, into how this administration has been operating over the last few weeks?
I think there are a number of genuine schisms within the Republican Party. One, getting back to the topic we began with, Ukraine, there are still people, certainly in the Senate, Republican senators who are much more traditional, much more committed to the idea that the United States has to stop the expansion of Vladimir Putin's power. President Trump is hewing to a different view that the United States can't keep supporting Ukraine at the rate that it is currently doing. Briefly, Alex, we've also seen splits on other matters. Look at something like the furor that erupted over H-1B visas. That put the sort of economic nationalists, people like Steve Bannon on one side, and the tech bros, people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, on quite another. So there are genuine divisions of ideology in today's Republican Party, even though President Trump holds it pretty firmly in his grip overall.
Niall Stanage, columnist for TheHill.com. Thank you so much. I know we're going to be speaking to you again. I got a lot more questions for you, so we'll see you then.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.